Hey guys, we thought we recorded this not that long ago, but we thought we'd fast track it in light that the UNFI Vendor Summit is this week. In fact, it's dropping the day that this podcast comes out. And for anyone who is going or knows about it and isn't going or couldn't make it, we thought this is an interview we've wanted to do for quite some time, but it's quite good and kind of speaks to UNFI and where it's going and some of the remarkable people that are part of this organization. So sit back, enjoy, and then if you got to UNFI, we hope it was good for you. If you didn't, and you're thinking about it, maybe this helps you figure out whether they are the right fit for you. Hey guys, this episode is brought to you by us. This Commerce Life is Canada's longest running food and beverage commerce podcast. We're 460 episodes, 8 years and counting. But we're more than a podcast. We coach Canadian brands to get retail ready. We teach them to pitch better, grow smarter through one-on-one coaching, national workshops, and warm introductions to buyers and distributors across the country. If you know a brand that needs a better shot, send them our way. Visit www.thiscommercelife.com or just forward this episode. Now, let's get to the podcast.
Hey, welcome to This Commerce Life, an unscripted podcast that focuses on the stories behind small and independent Canadian retail and Canadian CPG.
What we try and do is deliver or pull out the story of our guests and give them to you. You know, the good, the bad, the ugly of retail and CPG in Canada. We're filling a need because we think that retail is hard on the best of days, but it's also a wonderful, wonderful place to grow up and make your living.
We also think that the industry, nor the people that inadvertently find themselves in the industry, really understand the industry at all. They don't really understand what goes on behind the scenes.
So listen to us, Phil and Kenny. We'll unravel it for you. We'll give you the story. We'll give you the story behind the story.
Hello.
Hi.
How are
Hey.
you?
I am good. How are you?
Very well. Nice to
Good.
see
Things
you
are not
again.
good. Hang on, I gotta change my glasses,
Yeah,
guys.
we
Sorry.
got you. You do you. We are
You
all
do your
good.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'll pop a little color for you. I couldn't see with the other one.
Nice.
Oh, there you go.
Nice. Nice. Are those meta glasses or you don't have those yet?
No, I do not have those. I'm not that well advanced when it comes to that type of technology. So
Nora's one of the other ones on this call, and then there's one who pushes all this shit all the time.
Oh, he's
And
just
Noah's so
mad because
reluctant to use this stuff because he doesn't want it on his head.
So Kenny's salty because I'm making him get meta glasses so we can film.
oh,
We can film while he walks around because I do all the filming and I'd like another perspective. So
I see. I see. Well,
I won't remember though. Like Stacey, I won't remember. I'll just walk and he'll be saying, "Are you filming?" I think, why would I think of filming? I walk.
Yeah, you walk.
that's okay. I can hit the button on the side of the thing and then you'll be
Whatever.
filming.
You
I have
figure
a
it out.
friend who's desperate to get these glasses more because she's like an avid picture taker. Like you can't go
Yes.
anywhere without her taking
Yes.
5 million pictures. So
Yes.
she wants to be able to, when we're skiing, just, do this instead of like, take off my gloves, pull
Yeah.
out my phone.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense though, right? And you can do the video, and I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's just, what happened with me. I'll get into the car and think, shit, you know what? I didn't take any pictures. I probably should have done that
Yeah.
next time.
Well,
And-
it's interesting because we were on the ski trip and it's only because it's fresh in my mind. And we had a guide for like the whole week that we were away. We were in Europe, and he brought it one day, an Insta 360.
Yep.
And so, I can't ski at the best of times. So like, I'm not the best skier, but anyways, he had us like, using the Insta 360 while we skied. And then he put together like a collage of video / pictures from using it. So it's pretty cool.
It's
instrument.
cool.
No, yeah. I don't know how
I
we
like
did all
when
the
people
work
send
on
it
the
to
back end though.
Yeah, I don't want to do that part, but I like when someone sends it to me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm loving
I'm
that.
the same. I'm the same.
Yeah, you can do that all day. I don't want to be the one doing the other part though.
Yeah. No, but I'm not
Exactly,
asking you to do that
exactly.
part. I just want you to do the front part so I can do the back part.
Exactly.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Oh man.
All right. Well, this
Thank
is a
you.
long time overdue, I guess. A good few years, I think we've been trying to connect.
Well, maybe
That's
trying.
okay. That's okay. That's okay. It's
As long as it happens, it doesn't
it
matter.
happens
It's all
when it
good.
happens, right? Like there are. It's funny actually because we're looking forward to this conversation because I think probably more so now than in the last few years, the conversation that we've been having with brands has been, how do I get to market? How do I get to market for real? Why do retailers keep saying no? And we keep saying the same thing, is like, whether you want it or not, whether you're capable of, kind of distributing your own product all the time, retailers don't have time for this, right? Like they want to have trusted partners that they can go to that can bring them stuff, right? So we're glad that you could come on. I feel like this is the topic that Kenny and I have been talking about for, I think, the last 6
Years.
months we've been having, right? Like in particular, right? So
Yeah. We always
for
tell people,
yeah,
build you guys in, build it in. Because we get so many people now, Stacey, well, the buyer doesn't want to buy it from me. And I said, what do you mean? Well, they want a distributor. So they're not wanting to buy your product. You got to get it through your thick heads, because we told them a million times, they don't need more vendors. They don't want more vendors. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to have all the paper trail. They would rather, in many situations, not all, say, Stacey's team's coming in, I get 50 lines from them.
Mm-hmm.
One meeting, even if it's 3 hours, I go through probably 50. I can bang, 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 and I'm done. And that's one PO, not 1,400.
That's
They
a big
don't see,
part of it for sure.
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so for listeners, before we get too far, because I feel like this will take us down this.
A
It's like a
rabbit hole.
skiing analogy. We just got off the chairlift and we're going already. So,
Yeah, there we go.
Hitting
Yeah, I like
powder,
it.
baby, hitting powder.
Fresh in my head.
but we have Stacey Kravitz on. She's the president of UNFI. We know that for our listeners, this is going to be one that most people will listen to, because we do talk about it a lot, right? It is a topic of conversation. If you are a brand and you're trying to get in, retail across the country, you already know this because you've run into it. Is retailers are asking, brands to have, distributors in the middle who are helping them do the work. So we love that Stacey's on. It's not all about UNFI. We would love to hear about you as well. And so, we'll get you to introduce yourself. The next 45 to 50 minutes is yours. I am excited. We've been talking about this for
Hopefully
a while.
I can fill
and it's
the
been a
45
hit-miss.
minutes for you.
I have no doubt, actually. I think it'll be fun. So anyway, thank you and welcome to the podcast.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah. Do you want to introduce yourself? Kind of tell
Sure.
people about you.
Where you came from, how you got to this spot.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I always say, and I think I've said it a few times, like food, I guess, has been in my blood, therefore my career, almost my whole life. My first job was working in a bakery for a friend of my dad way back in the day. So I won't date myself too much. But that's where I started. I spent a lot of years through university working in restaurants, waitressing. I managed restaurants, so that was kind of really the early stages. And I traveled a lot while I was younger. I spent 1.5 years abroad. Studying as well as just traveling. So, I got that kind of out of my blood really early on, and finished my degree and then kind of got into work. I grew up in Montreal. I don't know if a lot of people know that. So I grew up in Montreal. My husband and I moved to Toronto in the mid-90s. And I had worked for Kraft Foods as a summer student forever and a day. And so when I came to Toronto, I thought, here's an exciting way to just kind of start a sales career. I dabbled in a bit of sales with merchandising and things like that while I had been in Montreal prior to coming to Toronto. And my husband had gotten a job here. And so we moved, and Kraft hired me, past experience. And I started as a rep, quite frankly, and grew up in sales at Kraft, spent 20 years Kraft. Then Kraft Heinz was there for the big merger back in 2015. Spent a year through that transition, and by that time it was like time for change for me
Right.
personally. Kraft had become a very different company, a company I still love to this day. It built my career in sales, and I always say that was my MBA in business. Not something I achieved in school, but definitely there. And working for a tier one company like Kraft, and then Kraft Heinz was I got to experience things from mergers to separations to acquisition. We did everything, and so I got just a world of experience there. And at the time when UNFI reached out, well, through headhunting and recruiting, I applied for the role as VP of Sales for UNFI. I can tell you quite, honestly, I knew very little about distribution. I didn't understand how it all worked. When you work for a tier one company, like every's all under one roof.
It just happens, Stacey.
Yes,
Like you just
it
cut the order and
happens.
it
You
goes.
understand how it
Yeah.
happens. You know how your food makes it from point A to point B. But this notion of many people carrying the same products and selling to the same people was, just new to me, if you will. But I was hired at a time where UNFI Canada was really kind of at its like, are we going to stay in Canada? Are we going to make a go of it? And they hired a gentleman by the name of Peter Brennan, who was our president, and he had a really great operational background. And so he understood the distribution world, having come from General Mills and so on and so forth. And so he hired me to lead his sales team because he knew where his wheelhouse was, and he needed somebody to build a sales team. And so that was really super exciting. So it was less about the fact that, here I was going to lead a sales team. It was the idea of turning around the business, and leading that sales team, building my own sales team, leveraging the knowledge that I had from 20 years working at Kraft. And I think that was really helpful. Especially in the Canadian marketplace, where it's an oversaturated market in grocery, where 5 customers represent 88% of the food sales.
Yep.
Distributors don't have a lot of skin in the game when you think about it. When your independent market is as tiny as ours is, although important and quite profitable, it doesn't make it easy for innovation in Canada, as you well know.
Yeah.
So I set out, joined UNFI 10 years ago. It's been amazing. So I joined as VP of Sales, spent a lot of time turning around the sales organization and other parts of the business. And then Peter retired, and they tapped me to be president right as COVID hit. So that was exciting to start this new leadership position. I think I found out about it in like right just the month before COVID hit, and then I took over in May of 2020. So it was a very I like the idea of how I started, because when you start in the crux, it really makes you think on your feet and allow for change. 100%. And so that was a really great experience. And then I got to rebuild, post COVID, and go through all the things we were going through. At the same time, UNFI US had purchased SuperValue. So we were even a little bit more disconnected. So they had purchased late in 2018 SuperValue in the US. And so they were just in the midst of transition. COVID hit, and they went through their own set of changes on top of trying to integrate 2 companies. So there's been a lot of iterations of UNFI, but Canada has stayed pretty, stable throughout that, because there has been no major change other than the normal macroeconomic things going on.
Right.
And so I've been leading the company for the last 6 years now. So it'll be 10 years this June that I'm at UNFI. So that's a little bit about me. I live in Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Awesome.
Yeah, we moved out here post-COVID. Well, kind of in the middle of COVID, I should say. Yeah. And we work remotely now. We have 3 distribution centers in Canada, and we go into the office at will, as we choose, usually about once a week, twice a week. But, it's really up to folks. We try to create a hub, for suppliers to come in and meet with us in our 3 different distribution centers, and have different sets of meetings and things like that go on. But And that's about it. I love to ski, as I mentioned earlier. And that's been kind of my passion the last few years, along with wine, hence why I live in Niagara on
Yeah, Niagara
Lake.
on the Lake. Yeah, perfect place to be.
And I can probably think of a bunch of other little things that I like.
Well,
So,
you're still smiling after 10 years, so
yeah,
that's a good
exactly.
sign in its own, right?
Yes,
Because you
yes,
did
I
walk
love the
into
industry. Love it.
yeah, you walked into it at an interesting time
Mm.
because like I remember like I was just getting out of retail buying, and those last couple years, like I remember this, like UNFI was interesting to deal with at on some levels because I think the States was kind of like just a little bit too in our world.
Yeah.
And it definitely, you can see, you can hear it. I can hear it on the streets too, because we still are out there. It
Yeah.
has, it feels like it's become much more of a Canadian company. So like it gets what we do. Like, and that's what
Mm,
Americans don't get with us sometimes. I know we're close. We get it. We know there's a line there.
mm,
They're different countries.
right.
We've got 7 cities and 5 retailers.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
let's put it in perspective. And there's a lot of space in between all of them.
A
Do you know
lot.
what I mean? So like distribution in this country is not like it is in the States. It's a
Right.
different country. And the fact you're still smiling is pretty good because I'm sure it's been an interesting ride.
It has been. It's not for everybody, I would say, but I think, I pride myself in loving different things happening every day. So I like the fact that our brands change day in, day out. I
Right.
love watching the growth of brands,
Hmm.
from really, really small,
Hmm.
like they're pedaling to, their stores and their cars and things like that, or they're, baking in their kitchens, and then it becomes all of a sudden a product. So I kind of like that aspect of it
Right.
because they never know what's going to be new. And so that's exciting for me.
Yeah,
I
why
think
not, right?
I think yeah, you hold a spot that like, nobody not nobody thinks about, but nobody necessarily thinks about the aches and pains you go through. Because
Mm,
you're actually, because brands complain about it all the time, right? And retailers, they want to fight raising prices and all that sort of stuff. Brands are killing themselves trying to figure out, like, how do I make margin and kind of keep value for the consumer. And I
mhm.
feel like, you know like when I listen to when you started as the president, you walked in the middle of COVID, yay, right? Awesome. But then you come out of COVID, and there's there's like all of these cost of goods increases that start
Mhm.
coming, right?
On
Like
everything.
immediately on everything, right? And nobody, you're a middle person, so nobody necessarily thinks about the middle kid, right? They all go like, well, just we'll do our thing and the retailer do ours, and you're in the guys, hello. um and then I think you come out of that, and then you get, I'm not trying to talk you out of a job, I'm just remarking at how amazing, because like, and then we start getting shipping, shipping and more shipping, and the cost of shipping, keeps rising. And now we've got this thing, with those neighbors in the south, right? So I, I feel like you are super calm in a time when you really haven't. I don't think. I mean, you're still finding time to go skiing, so you're managing just fine. But I'm amazed at how many things you've probably
I'm
had to
amazed at
deal
too.
with.
I've been doing this like 45 years in this space.
Yeah,
The last 6 years, I who would have even imagined the shit
yeah,
show that we all went through? Forget
yeah,
just
Mm,
the COVID, it's all the aftermath. Literally
yeah,
yeah,
containers,
yeah,
2,000 from, Asia, 2,500 from Europe, 15
yeah.
grand overnight.
15
yeah,
grand.
You're
yeah.
thinking like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And then
Uh,
can't get lids, can't get bottles, can't get labels, can't get this, can't get that, gas through the roof. Like it seems like every time we catch a break, someone knocks it out again. You're thinking, seriously, give us a
100%.
run.
Mm. I always say, people people thrive in different ways, and life is full of bumps, and we're all going to get a whole bunch of bruises along the way. And so nobody is dying, nobody is, what I mean, not going to get something. It's not rocket science. It's
Mm.
like how you ride the wave.
Right.
And so I told my team, and it took a little while. So it's not like I was like this day one. But when you get a few years under your belt and you kind of see how, and you get to a certain level in an organization where you can actually see everything.
Yeah.
Which, when I was VP of sales, I wouldn't tell you that I saw everything, right?
Right.
You think you're a
Yeah.
part of everything, but you're
Yeah.
not, because you're
Yeah.
really focused on your own area.
Right.
So I really think it was a step change for me when I moved from that role to this role, to really see the whole picture. And, again, as a high achiever, I always want to do a really good job at what I do. So, it was about, how do I learn? How do I bring the right people on board so that I can feel comfortable in all the areas of my business? So, hey, if I'm not strong in operations, do I have strong folks running my operations department?
Right.
If I'm, so I'm really strong in sales, how do I stay away from the new salesperson so that I can focus on other areas?
Right.
So, there was a former president, I'm going to go back about 10, 12 years now, of Walmart Canada. She went on to run Michael's. Her name was Shelley Broader. I don't know if you remember her, but
Yep.
anyway, she led Walmart Canada or International for a while.
Yeah.
And she spoke at then Network for Executive Women inaugural kind of Toronto keynote speech.
Yep.
And she said something that has stuck with me for all these years. I've used it in my own keynote speeches. She goes, hey, listen, often people ask me how I get things done. She goes, I don't do anything. And I've heard Sandy, our CEO, say the same thing. That's why, I'm a coordinator of experts, she said. And that's what I feel like. I feel like I've got the best people working for me who have great insight into the business, and I trust them. And I trust them to also, hear me out and hear, my perspective from the broader organization and bring that all the way down. I think where the biggest challenge for us is explaining how we can support better our suppliers and our retailers. Because as distribution is small, our competitors are Metro, Sobeys, Loblaws, they are our competitors. They're wholesalers themselves.
Absolutely.
So what's the point of difference we're bringing? Well, we're bringing them innovation that they can't carry in their warehouses today. So I have to be okay with the fact that brand eventually is going to get big enough, and I should be happy that they get big enough that they don't need me anymore, that they can supply themselves to these guys and save money, because we are a cost. Like, there's no question. So for me, it's all about having the right people working for me, and also for me to have a good perspective of, the cycle of the business. And what's important from a strategic standpoint, as well from a Canada perspective, and you brought this up, Kenny, to the US, because I have to fit within our North American structure.
Yeah.
Whether I'm a small piece of the overall pie, very, very small piece of the overall pie. So, and we're not the normal 10-1, because a wholesale distributing in the US is a huge business.
Yeah.
We're a bit more profitable in Canada, which is great.
Yeah.
But that has come with a lot of hard work, a lot of tough decisions, a lot of, saying goodbye to certain brands, making good decisions on brands. And not every brand is made out for this business. They might make a good brand, but don't have a strategy.
Right.
And oftentimes they come to you and they expect you to, make sure that the consumption is going, that you're getting at the right place on the right shelf. No, we open doors. We don't sell strategy. That's the brand's role. So there's been a lot of, I would say, education required, especially at those newer brands, coming up and just starting out, if you will. What does it cost to get into one of the major retailers in Canada? What are those costs? Are you prepared for that? I think, Phil, you said this earlier, have you set your pricing up properly from the get-go? Eventually you won't need a distributor. Okay, fine. But that's when you start to save a little bit of money, but you got to make sure you're setting your price right from the get-go so that you don't have to go backwards.
I think it's just good to hear from you. Sorry, Phil. It's because we preach this all the time, because we've been in this business a long, long time. And it's just getting it to understand, guys, this is not your distributor or and your broker, because they can work, one on top of it. He said, this is yours, not theirs. Yeah. One moves boxes really well. One will complement sales. Sometimes you get lucky, the box mover has sales, But typically it's, each has its role, but the vision is yours, not theirs.
Yeah.
Where you want it on the shelf is if they put it in the wrong spot. I said, look in the mirror. It's not their fault. It's yours. Why didn't you
Well,
tell them
no,
where it's
I
supposed to
mean,
go?
sometimes
Yeah.
we're not even that far as you actually have to see it on the shelf. So, like someone in Stacy's group should not be the people to tell you this is what shelf it belongs on. Like you need to
No,
go to them and
Yeah.
go, I
absolutely.
envision it here, and they might be able to say to you, listen, it's great you want a bullseye and center planogram, but that's not going to happen. But with some hard work, if we sell enough stuff, maybe we can get off the bottom shelf
Yeah,
or
and maybe we can
whatever.
talk about how to
But
do that.
but bullseye doesn't
But
come because you wish it, and then but you
yeah,
also have to envision it as well, right? Because
yeah.
it's not your job to do that, right? It's not
Yeah.
UNFI's job to do that. So
I would
um,
say our team does a really, really good job of giving category perspective, so to the strategy you present us.
Yeah.
But if you come in and we've done this just, I'd say in the last year, year and a half,
mhm,
where we've asked brands now, new brands coming to us to fill out a page on strategy. And it's really pretty straightforward. It's not like overly thought out. It's
Right.
just really, do you have the 4Ps in place? Do you know where you want to be, what you want to do? What's your point of difference? Who's in
mhm,
the category?
mhm,
And I've had the opportunity to mentor, some founders, I would say early on in their career, and some are really, really good at getting it, and some take a lot more time. And when you get somebody who's, listens, who, says, oh, that's a good point. Yes, I should. I've seen some of these mentees come back to me. Oh, Stacey, I was in store. I want to do this. You know what? I need someone to help me with a go-to-market strategy. And so it's all around connection in this industry, which I
Right.
really like, especially the natural organic side of things.
yeah,
Like I
yeah.
really find that it's, a little bit more, give and take kind of thing, where people are much more open.
I always say
Um,
friendly.
yeah, friendly is a
It's
good
Yeah,
word.
friendly.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay
Yeah.
to tell you a little information. You tell me
Yes.
a little bit, and we can actually work together. Even competitors can talk to each other. Imagine
Yeah.
that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's a good
I
one.
like it. No, I like it. The only thing I wanted to call out for listeners is, Stacy said that, you know, if you get big enough, and I think I have to underscore the if, because
If.
I know some of you little guys, you're going to hear when you're big enough or that but big is big. So just it, if you sell a couple hundred cases, don't think you can skip this step and go to Loblaws. It's not going to work.
No.
Just underscore if, right? And then underscore big,
100%.
capital letter big, 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 capital, all caps.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot before a
Well, they're
retailer
all
says, hey, I
relative
can save some
terms,
money. I
right?
can save money on pallets.
Yeah.
So then maybe we can do something direct, right? So I think that's
Yeah,
something,
I think it's well, first of all, I think the Sobeys and the Metros and the
yeah,
Loblaws of the world, they're going to tell you when it's time,
yeah,
100%.
to go direct.
yeah.
And we have a program at UNFI, and we kind of built it off of a program that ran in the US called Up Next. And
Okay.
it's really around bringing in these incubator brands. So we're pretty choiceful about those brands. We're actually going to announce a few graduates coming up in the next few weeks at our
Cool.
innovation showcase,
Okay.
and which is our trade show, our annual trade show
Yeah.
in Vaughan. And what I would tell you about these guys is we bring them on and we invest in them. So what does that mean? There's very little charge from us. We give them free marketing. They have to come with a strategy and a plan, and we help build it with them. So we can't do that for every brand. So we pick some niche products, that we think make sense and that can get there. And the goal with these is to spend 2 years with us, not entertaining the majors, like not even trying to roll out in the
Nothing wrong
major.
with that.
Now, if a major were to come to them and say that they're very interested in their product, we would not stop it. But at that point in time, you would graduate from the
Right.
program and, you'd be prepared. But what we've noticed with those brands is that they get very well entrenched within the independent space. They start to understand what it's like to forecast, to make sure that they
Right.
have product in the right DCs, that they're not just open in our Ontario DC, they're open in our, BC distribution centers. So how do we manage all of that with them in tandem? I'd love to be able to do it to every single brand. We just don't have the manpower to be able to do that. So that's why we've made it a little bit more of a, unique program, if you
I
will.
love that idea.
I think the concept is super cool because again, we got so many cool brands in this country, but if they don't get to people, well, like you guys, like us, like others, and ask some questions, I mean, it's such an easy concept. You make it, you sell it, someone else buys it, you repeat. It's
Right.
not rocket science. We're not splitting atoms here.
No,
But there's
exactly.
a lot of shit in the middle of all that. It's complicated because we've made it complicated, but it's not rocket science. And
Right.
yet people just don't understand this game.
No.
And it is a game. Like you have to know every player is different,
It's so true. And
right?
this is where, my background, having grown up in CPG really enabled me to be able to
For
understand,
sure.
like the whole broadness of it and how to deal with the likes of, and it's not deal with, it's really to create relationships, which I have
Exactly.
across all of the customers in Canada. But it's more so from that education I had, or that ability to grow up in an organization such like Kraft, to be able to do that. And
Right.
I've hired a good mix of experience. We have some folks from CPG, we have some folks from retail. So we've got a good balance on our leadership team. That has really helped, I think, our ability to be able to execute both from a supplier standpoint as well as a customer standpoint.
Yeah,
No,
I love that.
that's pretty cool.
I love that.
Mm.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The big,
I was wondering, because you deal with, all the big guys and, kind of no trade secrets and, but wondering if you've seen differences in the way they've operated, from the time over the last few years, right? Like, because they are navigating the same kind of challenges that you are, that the brands are, but curious if they've changed either the way they intake brands or, how much they've relied on you. Like, I know right now we're having a conversation with a lot of brands about, look, you've got to find yourself a distributor, but have the
mhm.
retailers kind of changed or kind of done things different in the last little bit?
You know, I would say I feel that there's always a constant within grocery, and the behaviors. I think you'll probably see change come, with the grocery sector code of conduct coming into place. I think
Mm,
that's going to bring some more fair trading, as it relates to more contractual agreements, stuff that you haven't seen in the past, which you'll have to get used to. But as I look to, how retail operates today, um, I think you'll see further consolidation, unfortunately, which is never
Yeah.
great,
yeah.
which, it hurts the independence and
It
innovation
does.
within Canada. But at the end of the day, innovation is difficult in Canada, period, full
Yeah.
stop. It's really hard. It's hard to do business here that
Yeah.
way. I've seen at least a dozen brands leave the country
Yeah.
because it's just too complicated between the tariffs,
Yeah.
and not just that, just everything, all the costs that have been going up. I think, people often say, is it still relationship? I do believe relationship still plays a part in it, and I still believe that you can have an open conversation with the right people at the right time. For distributors in particular, what I find is, where do you differentiate yourself with the big guys? And so for us, it's really around, those is really understanding that at some point in time, the product needs to go direct to warehouse. At some point in time, that
Sooner or
has to
later.
happen. It's a normal life cycle of a
Yeah.
product. And
Yeah.
so I think we used to spend a lot of time arguing on whether that was the right thing. What we now do is say, hey, listen, if it's more cost effective for you to go direct because we can't meet those costs, then we should do that, because it's better for both businesses, because I don't want to lose money. I have a very thin margin in comparison to the big wholesalers out there. And so how do I maintain that, without losing the volume? And it gets to a certain point, I just kind of say, well, no, you're better off going direct. So I think for us as a distributor, it's really understanding the life cycle of a product and really understanding when it makes the most financial sense for a brand to move, to
Right.
go up, so to
Right.
speak. But the retail environment is just, it's still tough. It always has been tough. The issues that we have today are different issues than we had yesterday.
Yeah.
I think that's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd agree. Some of the
Yeah.
practices are the same, but the scale's different, the scope's different. How many retailers are like it's different and the same and different and the same and the same and different. It's like all over the place.
Yeah, I do think that the grocery, like the code of conduct that's been worked on, and I was just elected to the board yesterday, so I'm going to be on the board for that, which is really good,
Amazing.
because distributors have a unique role to play within that code of conduct because we deal with suppliers as well. We're a wholesaler, even though we're the vendor of record. But I do think that's going to be a more open book, and we've had discussions with retailers. I've met with some of the folks that are going to be the stewards of compliance within their organizations, be it at Loblaws, be it at Sobeys, wherever, so we've been meeting and talking to them. And what you're going to see is probably a lot more rigor around contracts that are going out, making sure that old practices are incorporated into no longer a handwritten, and or a handshake. There's a lot of work to be done still to kind of get the word out on what that's all about. But I do think that might change the landscape to be a little bit more fair and a little bit more equitable across, a very, very consolidated sector.
Yeah. I'm hoping you're right.
Yeah.
It's pretty much all we can do on that one. We're just hoping because some of it is are cultural issues built into these companies that have had enormous power over the years and have just gotten that much more. Right. So, it's like everything. I'm glad someone like you is on at least the board because
Yeah.
otherwise talk is cheap. I mean, you need someone who actually understands what these people go through. Because my mom's on the other side too. I was a buyer for years. I get my job was. I was
Yeah.
very clear on what my role was. I might have played it a little softer than others,
Yeah.
but I had a role, right? And there's
Yeah.
buckets I need to play with.
Yeah. And
Right.
I think
So
those roles have evolved over time, is what I would say. That's what I see, at least,
yeah,
and I think that's what the team sees, like
I
Mm-hmm.
hope
I
so.
don't see that kind of, even from when I was doing it, when I was at Kraft, and, I led Loblaws, I led all our regional accounts. So I led quite a few big teams. And there was a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of battles. At the end
Yep.
of the day, though, what I will say about all of our major retailers is they were always extremely fair. They fought hard, but
Yep.
they did play, they did play fairly. At least, that's my experience at Kraft, anyways.
I
Mm-hmm.
would agree. I think it's
Yeah,
just
I
how
would
much you have
agree.
to know those, Stacey. Like it's gain. This is where
Yes,
the
Yeah.
brands have to understand. It's incumbent on you, the brand. Like you need to understand
100%.
this game. You need to understand how to play, and you need to understand when you give up and when you don't. And there are battles are half the fun of it. I hate to say it because I know, but honestly, an argument or a negotiation or a tougher push and pull is part of it too, right? It's fun, can be fun on both sides. It can be miserable. It's typically more miserable when one side just doesn't really understand the game,
Right.
right? And that's when it becomes really miserable because, well, it should be this. And I'm thinking, yeah, lots of things in life should be lots of things, but you know what? They're not. So, you know, learn how
No,
to play
absolutely.
within the game. Hopefully this will make it easier. Hopefully some of the bullshit practices that happened on the side will end,
Yeah.
right? And that's where hopefully someone like you who at least understands both sides and as a distributor who really is right in the middle can hopefully help with that because
We'll
it'd be
see.
nice to have a cleaner game.
Can
Although I didn't
can
mind the old
we
one either because I don't mind the fight. So what the hell?
can we I want to shift gears a little because I think we
Sure.
do have a lot of smaller brands that are out there.
Mm.
Certainly your name comes up a lot. Not Stacy, but
Unify.
UNFI comes up a
Phew.
lot in terms of, I know, right? In
Yeah.
terms of, being able to get some national distribution, that sort of thing.
Mm.
When, if you can, like where because we have all sorts of little brands that might show up and kind of go, well, I'm thinking, I think UNFI would be a good fit, and we usually try and soft land those. And it's nice that you think
Mm.
you might fit with UNFI, but you're not
Yeah.
through the province yet. We're not,
Price, you
can
should
you
barely be in retail right now. Never mind
yeah,
UNFI.
like
Like,
can you
let's
talk a
buckle
little bit
down.
about that? Like what does fit look like for you, right?
Yeah,
Cuz like you've got narrow room for margins. You kind
right.
of bridge big retailers, being a wholesaler as well, and then still try and figure out how to make money, and then so all of those sort of things.
Even
Like
if it's
what are
just a couple
you know
points, like there's those three or
yeah,
four things that it's going to be
yeah,
in every single conversation.
Yeah. I think, one of the things you got to think about, you got to step back. Okay. And you look at a big CPG company, because this is how I made sense of distribution when I
yeah,
joined, is under one house, you have a number of brands, and you have a warehouse logistics, and you have a sales team.
Right.
And then all the cross functionals,
hmm
right? If you're at the point where you can no longer do anything yourself, you know, you should come talk to us. Now, what I would say is that's when we would, and the whole reason we created the Up Next program was to help brands like that. So we can't take somebody on who's just starting out. We just
Right.
can't. We don't have the wherewithal. Now, we do that because we do have, primary status for Whole Foods here in Ontario, and we have secondary status in Western Canada for Whole Foods. And Whole
sorry,
Foods is our largest
do you mind
customer.
explaining those primary,
Yeah. So
secondary?
what that means is, we get first right of refusal on all listings and are the primary distributor
Okay,
for Whole Foods in Ontario.
okay,
And in the West, it's not us. It's Horizon. That's a long-standing
hmm
relationship, or now Purity Horizon, I should say. And we're the secondary, strong secondary.
okay,
So what that means is they can't get from one distributor, they get from us. There's
hmm
not a lot of second players. There's a bunch of regional players in Ontario that can
hmm
take care of a Whole Foods, but for the most part in food, we're their supplier. And in the U.S., as you well know, we have we are the primary for all of it till like 2030 something or other.
right,
So like we have a long relationship with them as we do with Amazon in the U.S. So what that means is I do have to list a number of brands that may not have wide distribution. So if Whole Foods comes to me and says, Stacey, I'd like to list this, then we have to give it careful consideration, because that's how a natural brand's going to get off the
Yeah,
ground in Whole Foods.
100%.
Unfortunately for Canada, we only have 12 Whole Food stores.
And the busier ones are out here.
Yes.
yeah,
So what ends
On
up
top of that,
happening, and here's the conundrum for brands. They're going to go to smaller regional
right,
distributors, because they're going to take them on.
right,
And then they're going to get big enough, and they're going to come to me, and they're going to want to go to one of the large guys. And I'm going to tell them, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to list you. And here's why, because I'm not in the game of playing in the independents with many different distributors. And so that's where I lose money. And so how I maintain margin and how I afford the ability to balance doing the big guys and the small guys is being able to have the whole pie for a
right.
brand. Where I sell to. So that doesn't mean if you want to go and get a distributor who's in food service or in a bigger way than we are, we're kind of very small, dabbling in food service. Or if you want to get a distributor that doesn't sell within the same stores we sell, then we're open
Right.
for business. Then we can pay attention to you. And I don't think I can do that for everybody. In fairness, like I can't bring everybody in because I can't give them that type of attention. So I have to be very careful. So what we look for is, do we have a hole in our portfolio? Is this going to fill that hole? So at one point, baby food was a big deal. Organic baby food was a big deal. Organic pet food was a big deal. So we had holes in so if we saw something, even if it had no distribution, we'd say, hey, let's build that brand out. So we might do that. We lose something in the US, that leaves the country, and that becomes a gap in the country. Then we'll look to, innovative ideas. But if it's another Me Too, or if it's something, I don't know, like I'm going to throw out gluten-free. If it's just another gluten-free bagel that I have 6 of, the chances are fairly high, unless you have some real revolutionary thing in gluten-free, which I think it's hard to find.
Maybe a really unique electrolyte drink,
Yeah.
Stacey.
Another
Or just,
kombucha, you know what I mean? Like, so there's all kinds of
Yeah.
things, like, but now it's protein, right? So like, how many protein
Yeah.
things do I
Yeah.
need? So we have to balance that, right? So a conversation, a strategy, like coming to me with a strong strategy and the willingness to be boots on the street and not have high expectations is something we will listen to. So, and a partnership that is,
yeah,
I would argue exclusive. So if we're going to invest in you, you need to invest in
yeah,
us.
yeah.
So I
See,
don't
now a
want
lot of the
to
brands that we
fight.
listen to us will hear the same thing, Stacey, because a lot of
Yeah.
that is like it's the same things that we sort of talk about. Like you can play it to your point. I don't care if you have a like as you know, as because I work for a couple small regional distributors. Like we want exclusivity at times in certain pockets, and we know that UNFI can't do food service. We do food service, so maybe now you can have two. It's all the crossover little brands don't get. Like you're thinking, guys, I can't have six distributors going to the same stores.
Yes.
There's no logic
The
in this. Like you
retailer
gotta,
doesn't even want
Yeah.
that. The
Yeah.
retailer doesn't want
nobody
that.
wants it. The store
Right.
gets irritated,
Yeah.
even saying, "Listen, you're a pain in the ass. You've got way too many people. You're clearly you have no plan. It's just you're fishing in every pond. Like no, like hone in.
Yeah.
You guys do a lot of things really, really well, and there's little things that you might not do well, and that's
Right.
okay. Maybe a
Yeah.
great regional is
Absolutely
in
okay.
Prince George where you guys don't go as well. Whatever.
Yeah.
But ask things too. Think of things. Because we get it all the time. And then they get us and you're thinking, you've sort of already dug or you've got your foot on the shovel. Like you got to take your foot off the shovel. Stop digging.
Yeah.
Right? Let's put
I
some
like
dirt back on the hole.
I'm glad you did that because I
Me
do
too.
we hear that a lot because I think they assume that if they make a phone call to a Unify person that they can get listed and just get going, right? And
Mm.
I think being able to see it from your perspective, right, is look, guys,
Totally.
like I have trucks and I have people who move boxes, but that doesn't mean I move every box that shows. Like I'm picking what boxes get moved where, right? Because we have
Yeah.
to. Like, yeah,
And I would argue, we have our faults. So I'm not going to sit here and tell your listeners that, we haven't screwed up at times. Okay. Like, there are times where
yeah,
shame on us, like somebody's email got lost. They
yeah.
tried to get listed. We're slow to
Yeah.
list. I've heard that. We had our Advantage survey done, which is the survey that,
Mm.
retailers and
Yep.
suppliers fill out for us. The
Mm-hmm.
supplier one came back. And we had some work to do, and we've answered the mail on a bunch of things. Our data was hard to read. We
Right.
launched UNFI Insights, which is going to be a platform in which vendors can go in and
Nice.
easily see their business, how they're
Nice.
performing at any customer we ship to. So that's really exciting. And so we're out launching that. Suppliers are looking at it right now. We've held a couple of webinars. We're quick to market. We launched Salesforce, also a CRM
Perfect.
tool.
Wow. Okay.
So our reps are now getting priorities in their handhelds, and they're able to now order based on priority. They're able to check shelves on certain things. And so oftentimes we'll offer suppliers priority status if they're exclusive with us, or if,
Right.
whatever the case may be, if we do some sort of deal for distribution, that might be one of them. So there are ways that we have improved our service. We still
Mm-hmm.
have a ways to go. I think there's a few things we'd still like to do. The US is doing some really cool stuff. They have a broader net to cast with the independent space in the
For
US,
sure.
but
Yep.
so we're going to try and jump on some of the platforms. About 4 or 5 years ago, we launched my UNFI, which is an online portal that you can just order from us on, so customers can go
Oh,
online
nice.
and
Oh,
just
that's
order.
cool.
Yep. And if you're a customer, you can order as long as you meet our minimums in each of the regions, we'll ship to you.
That's cool.
So we're
Wow.
able to get more
Right.
Yeah.
customers that way.
Yeah.
So our reach has gotten broader with less touch.
Right.
So making it easier and more profitable for both sides.
Wow.
Nothing wrong with that.
Look,
Mm.
this is not an easy business, right? So whenever you change products and you change hands, things are going to happen, right? And
Mhm.
with so many brand. So I'm not making excuses for you. I think where I'm going is, I think that what I hear is you guys, you know the place you play, and then you're constantly making it better. Like, I don't know if you can ask for more. Certainly, like, so I come from J&J and Pfizer, and so similar sort of. And I promise you, I know a whole bunch of partners in that space that probably do things exactly the same as they did when I was there and before I was there. You know what I mean? Like, so you're making changes, and I think that's what the industry needs to know, right? Is like, you're improving, and
I don't know how else you can grow, to be frank, if you don't make change and you don't kind of listen to your. The big thing is my suppliers are just as important as my retailers. You see,
100%.
Like if I don't have a supplier, then I really don't have an offering, and then so I have to keep them just as happy as I keep the retailers.
Absolutely. And it's even a little tougher sometimes in the natural set. Like, if you're a conventional distributor or whatever, if you get lucky enough to lock in a Kraft or Nestle or whoever, I don't really care. It's, the fun side of the business is this side.
Yeah.
It is, because this is where innovation, it doesn't happen with large guys on either side, large retailer nor large supplier. So the fun stuff happens on this side. It is cool.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that they're all listening to you and understanding that it's the same things we tell them. Get organized, get your story. Your mom liking it is lovely, and I'm happy for you. That's good. Most moms like everything that you do. So let's get past that. You need a point of reason why you're going to go to Stacey's team. They've got 6 bagels. Like, you really need a compelling story.
But
as
more
to why this
importantly,
bagel needs to
they're going
drop somebody out.
why, right? They're going to ask why. Like, why should I do this? What is the reason? What are you after?
Yeah, so have it ready.
So if you don't, you can't answer those things. Like, this
then what do you want them to do? Like, why would they take someone else out to put you in? For what? Just for fun?
Yeah. It's nice every so often you do meet a supplier who gets it, so they've either been in this space in a different way and then have gone off on their own, and they just get it. There's a couple of suppliers I've dealt with who I quite enjoy working with, because they kind of get it. They know what we're good at. They know, what we can do for them, and it's stuff they don't want to do. So therefore, they give it to us.
They also know what they should be doing for you to make it better for, their products to move out of your warehouses. It is a partnership. It's a play. You got to do this together.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, you guys have got some cool stuff happening, though. You got some.
That's cool. We're super excited. We have our innovation showcase coming up, and we do an annual vendor summit. So we've combined them together for the first time. So we used to do them at 2 different times a year. So we're bringing suppliers in. We've got a number of great speakers that are going to be at that event. And so what we do is give industry news. We've got Sobeys coming to talk to suppliers, which is awesome. And Karen Proud has just agreed, which is something our suppliers. So we like to bring added value to our supplier community, and then give them the opportunity to present their innovation. So we've got usually about 150 to 175 suppliers. Trying out a new venue this year. I forget what the name of it is, but like, we're trying out a new venue. We've been announcing it online. So that should be good. And that's April 27th, 28th, I think.
And 28th, yeah.
Yeah. So if you'd like to join us there, feel free to drop by.
We wish we could. Actually, we were talking about it before this.
I was pinging while you were talking. I said, you should go. It's in Vaughan. I don't know where Vaughan is, but I know it's close to him. I've been to a few in the past, and I really love them, because I like one, even for us, like, being able to find new new brands that we haven't talked to, all of those sort of things we love. But both of us are not. I'm not in country when your showcase is on.
Oh, well.
I know. I wish I could.
I pinged him already, Stacey. I said, listen, you got to go. Yeah. I know Vaughan is not far from you. I don't know where the hell it is, but I know it's not far.
No, Vaughan is. I'm in Mississauga, so I commute to Vancouver a whole lot. But so Vaughan is not a hard commute at all. So yeah.
No, very good, very good. Well, anyway, that's the big news for us. Okay. And then we participate obviously in CHFA, and we went to Expo West this year, which was really good. Were you guys able to get out?
No, we
I
didn't go.
haven't been
We
Yeah.
didn't
since
go this
COVID.
year. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a good show actually. A
Yeah.
lot of protein. We just put out an insights, kind of deck from that
Yeah.
we're going to present at
Oh,
our
cool.
showcase. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we try to do things like that. So it was a big group of us that went out. We had a lot of customers there, which was great.
Oh,
Right
that's
on.
awesome.
Yeah, so it was a good go of it. A little too close to CHFA, but
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
tight. A
Yeah.
little
It's a little
tight.
tight. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
different.
It's almost
So
like it
which
was
is
in the
good.
old days. Like
Yeah.
they did separate it. I think FIFA, I think World Cup
Yeah, the World
threw
Cup
dates
really threw it
about.
off. That's why we were earlier in
Yeah,
the year this year at
Mm,
yeah.
CHFA.
Hopefully we're
yeah.
back to normal next year. You need that 2 months kind of
Yeah, I
gap.
think it's back to April next year.
Yeah, which just makes, I mean, yeah, unfortunate. Well, fortunate, I'm happy their soccer's coming. I'm
Yeah.
not as happy as I would have been if Italy had gotten through, but I'm still relatively happy soccer's happening.
Oh,
Thank you for doing this.
Thanks for
We
doing this. I'm so happy
the
we
hour
got a
went
chance to have you
like
on.
just like that.
that went
I'm
fast.
very, yeah, I'm
Actually, a
very
lot faster than
surprised.
I
Yeah.
thought it would.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
All right. Well, very kind to have me on the show. I'm sorry it
Oh
took
my
us so
God.
long to get it
No,
together,
not at
but
all.
No, I'm just happy
Listen,
you
so
came on. I
so
think it's great.
so
Timing
Yeah.
is good too.
you are welcome
Okay.
here anytime.
Thank
If
you.
Absolutely.
if you are, so a couple of things. One is if something changes and you want to come back on and talk about changes
Sure.
or new innovation, we would love to have you. If you want to talk about something that you think the community needs to know, we can do a short clip that goes on YouTube as well.
Oh, okay.
So
This
that
one's not
way,
going on
kind
YouTube,
of
eh?
people know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then you can be a YouTuber. So, and then I think the other thing is if you see new brands that you love a lot,
Sure.
Push 'em.
just
Yeah,
all you tell the brand Stacey sent me, and
that's it.
Okay, that sounds great. I
that's
love
all
that.
that's required. So
Yeah.
yeah, we
You
would
know,
What I
there's
love.
a little mentee of mine.
Yeah.
We're not distributing her product, and I don't know if she's got anybody as of yet. But check her out online. It's So Coffee. Caroline, she's part of Women Food and Management. She's been a part of them, and I was in their mentorship program. And I did what I love about her is first of all, her family owns a farm in Kenya, so she really does have a
Oh, that's
story
super
with
cool.
roots. And when she came to me, she was,
Wow.
shipping online, and she
Yeah.
was, and she was selling. And she goes, "Well, I'd love to be with UNFI." Very similar to the conversation we've been having.
Yeah.
And her name is Caroline, and she really ate up everything I had to say, and it's similar to the conversation we're having, and she went out to store. She'd come back with all her homework for me, and then then she's the one who
amazing.
said, "Hey, I need to get a go-to-market strategy," and she had
Yeah.
started to. So I hooked her up with Rob Mortensen, who I'm sure you guys probably know.
Yep.
He does go-to-market services, and she, he did a great job with hers, went out to a bunch of retailers. She changed her packaging. She invested. She listened. She built her strategy. She's a good news story about how to go about things.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So she might be somebody just in the same vein you might want to talk to about her journey
Love
and
it.
where she's at
we would
now.
love
That
that.
Love
might
it.
be interesting.
Okay.
Love it.
And her
Yeah,
coffee's
I'll
quite
reach
good.
out. Yeah, I'll reach out.
That's a
I
bonus
love,
too.
yeah, I love
You know,
the
one thing I'd love
storytelling.
from you, if you're going to be allowed to, or what you can, is like once you even get a little bit more immersed into the code of conduct,
Yep.
is have you come back on and chat for a minute. I like I'm more intrigued with your perspective just because you are a large distributor in the country. You deal with a lot of the big boys, big girls. Like it'd be just cool to hear your perspective because I don't think most people really have a clue what it's all about. Most little people don't know why it's actually even happening,
Yeah.
right? And I think
And
even that
you wouldn't
perspective,
when you think about the likes of coming from a large company, you would understand
100%.
why. And I've dealt with it here in distribution,
Yep.
and a lot of distributors won't deal with it because they probably don't see the heavy hand of the large retailers
Right,
or the dealings, like the supply
right.
chain finds
Yep.
this, that, they don't see it. So contracting in Canada has been something I'd say in the grocery sector anyways has been few and far between when you have a big deal. So I think this is going to really change the game, at least on getting things more clear and transparent.
Right.
So yeah, I'd be happy to. But I think it's going to be some time before it really gets.
There's no
off.
rush. It's more one of those things when you
Yeah.
get to the point where you think you're allowed or you can talk about or want to share some things.
Sure.
Love to know, because I think it's important for the brands that listen to us to probably really understand
Absolutely.
what this is happening and what the thing is going to be.
Okay,
Anyway,
perfect.
thanks for coming on. Like that was, I'm so
Thanks
happy.
for having me.
We're so glad you did this.
Happy Easter to you guys. Have a great weekend.
You as well.
Happy Easter.
Enjoy the weekend, and we'll chat soon.
Okay.
Take care. Bye.
Bye, Steve.
Okay, that was cool.
Awesome.
I love that.
No, it was good. I'm glad we finally got that one in the books.
And then I think if you're listening to this and you are thinking about distribution, right? Like this is important.
No,
so
I'm
hopefully
super stoked. That was good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Okay.
Really good.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, everybody.